So if by 450 you've got the treasury in Athens and you're really running the ship, this is kind of a high point of success if you're an Athenian. And really the next couple of decades, 450 to 430, are dominated in Athens by one leader, Pericles. And so people tend to call this era the Age of Pericles. He was a pretty well-educated member of kind of the aristocratic background, but he also did a really good job of becoming popular and having common Athenians support him. He was a really good speaker, and one of the sources that you have to read for class relates to a oration that he gives at the end of the first year of a war that's coming up that we're going to talk about in just a second, the Peloponnesian Wars. And it's really his skill as a popular speaker that gives him a lot of his power. Thucydides claims that he controlled the masses rather than letting the masses control him. As he rises to power, one of the things that Pericles does to maintain his power is to change his attention, or rather the attention of Athens, away from Persia and no longer claim the Persians can come back. It could be a big threat. And instead say that Sparta was the new emerging enemy to Athens. He said Sparta was a threat to their empire because they were far away, they didn't want to join this league, they were isolationist. And from really the 450s onward, Pericles uses all this economic output that's coming into Athens to rebuild Athens after the Persian Wars. He strengthens the wall around the city. He creates a huge walled road going to the port city that's 12 miles away, to Piraeus, so that Athenians can access their port even during times of fighting. He builds huge temples and huge treasuries, and he also institutes new political reforms. If you look at the bottom right of this slide, I've got what are some weird, just like, they look like broken pieces of pottery because that's what they are. He instituted a policy where every year all citizens joined together and they wrote down the name of the person they thought was the biggest threat to Athenian democracy on what's called an ostrakoi, a broken shard of pottery. And the person who was determined to be the biggest threat to Athens by popular vote was ostracized. Maybe you've heard that word before, right? When you push somebody out of your group. And was forced out of Athens for a decade. And he used this to target political opponents and force them out. So in many ways, he rebuilds Athens and he does great things, but he creates a lot of enemies, and those are enemies within Athens and also Sparta itself.